You have 24 hours to demolish that eyesore or we're calling the sheriff. That's what the HOA president screamed at me right before I revealed the secret that would destroy her entire world. There I was, 3 days into building my dream cabin when this woman storms onto my land with a clipboard and an attitude. Victoria Ashworth, HOA Queen Bee, demanding I tear down everything because it violates community standards. Little did she know, I had information that would flip this power game completely upside down. Information that would turn her threats into the most expensive mistake of her life. My name's Marcus Brennan, 45, recently divorced electrician who inherited 5 acres of Colorado mountain paradise from my eccentric Uncle Silas. After months of courtroom hell, this land felt like salvation, a place where I could build something real and maybe convince my teenage daughter Emma that her old man wasn't a complete failure. Uncle Silas was the family mystery. Disappeared into the mountains in 1980, always muttering about land having more secrets than trees. When his lawyer called saying I'd inherited his property, I figured Uncle Silas knew something the rest of us didn't. The land was breathtaking. Creek water gurgled over smooth stones, hawk cries echoed off granite cliffs. I cashed out my 401k, quit my city job and started building a modest log cabin. Day 3 of construction she appeared. Victoria Ashworth emerged from a pristine white BMW like some corporate angel of death. Mid-50s, designer business casual, clutching a leather portfolio like a shield. Her perfume clashed with the mountain air so violently it made my eyes water. "Excuse me," she marched across my property like she owned it. "Are you the individual responsible for this unauthorized construction?" I set down my circular saw. "Marcus Brennan, building a cabin on my land." "You are Victoria Ashworth, Pine Valley HOA president. This construction violates multiple community covenants," she said, flipping through papers. "No permits, no architectural review. Frankly, this rustic approach threatens our property values significantly." I looked around at pristine wilderness. "What community? I don't see any houses. Your uncle signed these covenants when we formed 6 months ago. You inherited his obligations." 6 months ago? Uncle Silas died 8 months ago. She handed me a cease and desist order demanding immediate construction halt plus a bill for $2,500 in violation penalties. Remove all materials within 48 hours. Daily fines begin at $500, doubling weekly. Then she delivered the real message. "Let me be frank, Mr. Brennan." Her eyes swept over my work clothes and beat-up truck. "This isn't the type of neighborhood where people in your situation typically thrive. We maintain certain expectations about resident quality. I'd hate for your daughter to be embarrassed by any unpleasantness." The mention of Emma hit like a punch to the gut. This woman had researched me, knew about my divorce, my kid. "Are you threatening my family?" "I'm offering friendly advice. Some battles aren't worth fighting, especially when you're clearly outmatched." Victoria didn't wait 48 hours. She came back the next morning with a lawyer. Douglas cranky, cheap suit, coffee-stained tie, briefcase held together with duct tape. "Mr. Brennan," Victoria announced, "you're being served with official legal documents. Cease construction immediately. You owe $15,000 in retroactive violation penalties," Cranky said nervously. "Furthermore, you never received proper HOA disclosure documents during property transfer, voiding your ownership claims. I'll review these with my attorney." Victoria's laugh cracked like ice. "You can't afford an attorney, Mr. Brennan. Save yourself the embarrassment." I drove straight to the county courthouse. Betty, the friendly clerk, helped me dig through property records. The Pine Valley HOA was formed exactly 6 months ago, 2 months after Uncle Silas died. The boundaries were drawn like a perfect target around my property. Every HOA member was either Victoria's relative or worked for her husband's construction company. This wasn't community governance. This was organized crime with a clipboard. I called Sarah Kim, a razor-sharp real estate attorney. "This is legally impossible," Sarah said. "You cannot retroactively bind a dead person to new covenants formed after their death." Then came the digital warfare. Victoria created a Pine Valley Community Safety Facebook group, posting my photo alongside warnings about transient criminals threatening our children. The comments were vicious. "Get this predator out. My kids aren't safe." But Victoria's arrogance became her downfall. She posted the HOA's financial records publicly. $847,000 collected in special assessments over 6 months for 12 houses. That's over $70,000 per family. For what? No community amenities, no shared facilities. Sarah nearly choked on her coffee when I showed her. She just publicly admitted to massive financial fraud. Victoria handed us a federal case on a silver platter. The next morning, a county inspector shut down my construction completely. Orders from the top. Someone's got serious pull at the county office. Victoria had escalated from civil harassment to government corruption. 3 a.m. The sound of breaking glass and diesel fuel burning my nostrils awake. Someone had taken a baseball bat to my lumber pile. My generator lay on its side, fuel soaking into pine needles. Anonymous EPA complaint claiming I was destroying sensitive wetlands. Fake safety signs sprouted along the mountain road. Official-looking hazardous construction zone warnings. Victoria had weaponized my community connections. But sabotage meant desperation, and desperate people make traceable mistakes. Sarah and I spent the next day at the courthouse. Mountain Vista Resorts had approached the county 6 months ago with plans for a $50 million luxury resort. The proposed location needed my 5 acres as the scenic centerpiece. "Look at this consultation fee," Betty whispered. Mountain Vista paid someone $400,000 for community relations consulting. "That's not consulting," Sarah said. "That's a bribe with a business card." Victoria wasn't just collecting HOA fees. She was earning a massive commission for delivering my property to developers. I installed a comprehensive security system. Motion sensors, night vision cameras. Around midnight, a pickup truck crept down my access road with headlights off. The driver began pouring something from a gas can near my lumber pile. My cameras captured everything. Tommy Ashworth, Victoria's son, attempting arson. I walked into the sheriff's office with USB drives full of video evidence. But Victoria wasn't finished. The next morning, I woke to find a process server with an emergency injunction. Victoria was claiming I was building an illegal commercial facility, demanding the court force me to demolish everything immediately. 3 county inspectors swarmed my land. Environmental compliance, building safety, septic evaluation, all writing citations for violations that didn't exist. Then my ex-wife Linda called, voice shaking. "Marcus, what the hell is going on? Emma's friends are showing her Facebook posts calling you a sex offender. She's locked in her room crying." Victoria had weaponized my own child against me, crossing every line that mattered. But her desperation had created my opportunity. My neighbor Jake knocked with urgent news. "Victoria's threatening families to sign statements against you. But HOA Treasurer Beth Morrison is asking uncomfortable questions about missing money. She's demanding a full financial review," and Victoria's panicking. The next morning, I was prying up floorboards in Uncle Silas's workshop when my crowbar hit something metallic. Beneath 40 years of sawdust, I found a steel lockbox. Inside were manila folders thick as phone books and enough legal paperwork to choke a courtroom. The incorporation certificate on top made my hands shake. Brennan Holdings LLC, incorporated March 15, 1998. Sole proprietor, Silas J. Brennan. My uncle hadn't just owned 5 acres. He'd secretly formed a holding company and used it to quietly acquire something that would change everything. In 2010, when the original developer went bankrupt, Uncle Silas bought up all the defaulted mortgage debt for pennies on the dollar. Not the houses, the actual land underneath them. Every single property in Victoria's HOA kingdom was built on land that Uncle Silas owned. The homeowners had been paying mortgages faithfully, thinking they owned their land. But legally they were tenants. I was holding the deed to an entire neighborhood. 47 houses, 12 of which had formed Victoria's precious HOA, all sitting on land that belonged to me now. Victoria Ashworth had been collecting fees and threatening fines on land she didn't own. Her own house was sitting on property where she was 3 months behind on rent. I could legally evict her with 30 days' notice. "This is legally bulletproof," Sarah said. "Your uncle was meticulous. Every document properly filed, every payment tracked for 27 years. Victoria's been stealing from these people while lying about property ownership. What if we expose the financial crimes but offer the community a way forward? Reduced rents, actual ownership opportunities. Turn this toxic HOA into something better." Friday morning, I woke to helicopter rotors and sirens. Through my windows, I could see news vans, sheriff's deputies, emergency vehicles setting up a perimeter. Victoria had convinced law enforcement I was some kind of domestic terrorist. Marcus Brennan, Sheriff Davidson's voice boomed through a megaphone. You are surrounded. Come out with your hands visible. Victoria filed reports claiming you threatened to blow up the community center. Jake's voice crackled through my phone. She's got photos of suspicious packages. The suspicious packages were bags of concrete mix from my foundation. Sheriff, I need you to check out security footage from last night first. I handed him the USB drive containing Victoria's midnight arson attempt. Davidson's face went through several color changes. That's going to complicate her credibility significantly. By afternoon, news crews from Denver had arrived. Victoria positioned herself as the heroic community leader protecting innocent families. But Channel 7's investigative reporter Maria Santos had done her homework. Mrs. Ashworth, records show your association collected nearly $850,000 in special assessments. Can you explain where that money was spent? Victoria's confident expression flickered. We've had significant legal expenses. But the legal expenses total only $23,000. Where did the other $827,000 go? Victoria's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. That's confidential community business. By evening, the story had shifted from dangerous mountain hermit to HOA president accused of massive fraud while filing false terror reports. The Pine Valley Community Center had never seen a crowd like this. 89 people packed in with news cameras along the walls. Victoria stood at the podium. Her PowerPoint presentation titled Protecting Our Community, the Marcus Brennan Threat Assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather to address the clear and present danger that Marcus Brennan represents to our peaceful community. I sat in the back row holding a leather document folder. This individual owes our community $97,000 in accumulated fines, Victoria announced. He has repeatedly threatened violence, attempted to intimidate our children. Furthermore, Mr. Brennan's presence threatens a major economic development opportunity. Mountain Vista Resorts has offered a $50 million project that would benefit every family in this room. There it was. The real motivation revealed on record. Does anyone else have concerns about this dangerous individual? I stood up slowly. I do actually. Victoria's smile faltered. You're not a member of this community. You have no right to speak here. Actually, Victoria, I walked toward the front. I think you'll find I have every right. In fact, I have more rights in this room than anyone else. I'm the sole owner of Brennan Holdings LLC, which means I'm the legal landlord of every single house in this subdivision. The silence was so complete you could hear individual heartbeats. Then the room exploded into chaos. That's impossible, Victoria grabbed for my documents. This is our neighborhood. We own these homes. You own the structures, Victoria, but the land underneath, that belongs to me. Has for 27 years through my uncle's holding company. Every HOA fee you've been collecting, you've been stealing money from people for managing land you don't own. Mrs. Ashworth, Sheriff Davidson stepped forward. You've been collecting fees on property that belongs to Mr. Brennan. You're 3 months behind on your own rent, I said, which means I have legal grounds to evict you. Victoria lunged for the documents, screaming until Sheriff Davidson restrained her. But I'm not here for revenge. Those who participated in harassment have 30 days to find new housing. Everyone else, your rent just got cut in half and we're building a real community together. As federal agents entered to arrest Victoria for wire fraud, her final scream echoed. You can't do this to me. I am this community. But communities aren't built on theft and lies. They're built on truth. 3 months later, I was on my cabin porch when Emma arrived with huge news. Dad, I got into Colorado State with a full scholarship. My essay about how my father taught me that real strength isn't about getting revenge, it's about building something better from corruption. Victoria Ashworth was serving 18 months in federal prison plus paying $150,000 in restitution. The remaining 41 neighbors embraced our transformation. With rent reduced to half, families had money for improvements, education, actual savings. The Silas Brennan Community Justice Fund now provides free legal aid for families fighting corrupt HOAs across 3 states. We got another call yesterday, Sarah reported. Family in Oregon facing the exact same playbook. Are we going to help them, Dad? Emma asked. We're going to try, sweetheart. Uncle Silas taught me that real power builds communities instead of tearing them down. Drop a comment sharing your own HOA nightmare story. You're not alone, and your experience might help other families fighting similar corruption. Hit subscribe for more stories about ordinary people destroying corrupt systems.